I've learned from a very young age, fortunately I come from a family that has been very open to this, to forget the conflict for a minute and just to try face situations with people as people and not put the conflict in every instance that you have. I've practiced this for years and years and years. As a matter of fact, through all my travels, even coming here to the United States for the first time as an Israeli and trying to make it in the Midwest, it was harder than getting together with a Palestinian, singing in Hebrew, you know, in Evansville, Indiana, was not exactly a piece of cake. It was a piece of corn dog. There's a major problem going on. First of all, the boycott is creating a situation which makes it very unpleasant and almost impossible on all levels. And I thought that the arts would be somewhat forgiven, but the arts, just like anything else, is not forgiven. And so Palestinian artists are really not allowed. It comes from the street, from the effect that the boycott has in Ramallah and in the West Bank especially, and in East Jerusalem. It just makes it very uncomfortable if they let it be known that we're working together. So we try to avoid the work side of it. Rather than have work meetings, we would meet for barbecues and haflas, what we call parties. And parties are not work, are they? So even though we get to play together and we get to write together during the parties, it's not under a work title. And so that enables them and us and me and everybody, it's actually just me, to feel comfortable in this environment. Now, when we came into the studio, I could only pray or hope that the 8 days that I've given this project would melt down and bring down the barriers and the fear and the differences. And it actually did happen. In order to create a real environment, I also had Israeli and Palestinian chefs cook for us daily, lunch and dinner banquets, which were serving up to 100 people around the table. And the food and the wine and the relaxation in the evening actually opened the space for all Palestinians, whether being artists or businessmen, to come and mingle. And my Israeli friends who heard about the meals couldn't help but say, okay, let's go and join them. And they knew the wine was going to be great, the local wine. I think that if the Israeli, through time, Israeli artists, Israeli Palestinians, the philosophers, the poets, the dancers, the painters, the artists, if they came to realize that by mingling and by being together, by eating, breaking bread, hanging out together, as you can call it, we could actually create some kind of a new language of understanding through the arts. The message will then have a ripple effect, and it affects the environment. I'm gonna find you tonight. I'm gonna count from 1 to 3. I'm gonna feel the peace within me, with you right here next to me. I'm gonna find you tonight. I'm gonna count from 1 to 3. I'm gonna feel the peace within me, with you right here next to me, with you right here next to me, with you right. The East and the West, and how we do mix and how we don't mix. We actually do not mix with one another. But when we meet, we respect one another, especially when music meets. I brought into this project in East Jerusalem musicians who play the oud, who play Arab music, who don't really ever know and have never played major keys the way we play them in the West. Now the West is me, but I live in the Middle East, and actually I'm a Middle Easterner, but I grew up with a complete Western ear. I started playing guitar around the age of 12, almost 13, and my first song was actually Boy Named Sue, Johnny Cash. It only had one chord, so it was a good song to start with.
But do you remember the verses?
Well, my daddy left home when I was 3, and it didn't leave much for me except an old guitar and an empty bottle of booze.
Very good.
All right. One more time. לפעמים אני מגיע, כן, מגיע, כן, מגיע, יום חדש,
Unbelievable.